Okay, let's talk about something we've all done. You finish a great breakfast and then bam, a giant yawn. It seems so simple, right? But the science behind it, it's actually pretty fascinating. So today we're going to get into what that yawn really means. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've just had an awesome meal. You're feeling good, full, content, and then it hits you. This massive, unstoppable yawn. It happens to all of us, but what is actually going on inside our bodies when that happens? And look, the first thing you probably think is, wow, I must be super tired. Or maybe you're thinking, geez, was my oatmeal that boring? But here's the thing. It's almost never about being tired. The truth is, that yawn is a fascinating, powerful signal coming from deep inside your body. So let's figure out what that signal is trying to tell you. All right, so this is the main event. Here's the big secret. That yawn, it isn't a sign that something's wrong. Actually, in most cases, it's a signal of relief. Seriously, it's your body's way of finally, physically saying, okay, we can relax. We're safe now. Okay, to really get this, think of your body as having two modes. Before you eat, especially after fasting all night, you're in survival mode. Your cortisol and adrenaline are up, keeping you alert, ready for anything. It's a low-grade stress state. But the moment you start eating that breakfast, boom, everything flips. Your body switches over to what scientists call the parasympathetic system, but we can just call it rest and digest mode. And that yawn, that big, satisfying yawn you feel, it happens right at that critical switchover point as you go from fight or flight to rest and digest. Yeah, and this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Yawning is the nervous system releasing tension. It's the physical act of your body letting go of all that tension it was holding on to. So try thinking of it this way. It's an exhale of stress, not an inhale of sleepiness. It's a release. So you might be wondering, okay, but why do I yawn so much? Well, if your nervous system is already kind of on high alert, maybe from a long-term thyroid issue, chronic stress, or just a history of not so great sleep, your body is basically wound up like a tight spring. So when food finally comes along and sends that all-clear signal, that release of tension is way more dramatic. It's like a bigger whoosh of relief, which means a much bigger yawn. But wait, there's more. That big nervous system shift, that's the star of the show. But there's a whole supporting cast of other biological triggers that are all contributing to that post-meal yawn. So let's pop the hood and see what else is going on in there. First up, we've got blood sugar. After you eat, it's totally normal for your blood sugar to rise a little, and that slight change affects how glucose, or fuel, gets delivered to your brain. For some of us, that teeny tiny temporary shift is all it takes to trigger a yawn. Then there's dopamine. You know, the feel-good chemical in your brain. Eating, especially something you really enjoy, gives you a little dopamine hit. Well, it turns out that yawning is super connected to those very same dopamine pathways. It's actually part of why you might yawn when you wake up, or have a really good stretch too. It's all tied to these subtle shifts in your brain's reward chemistry. Okay, this next one is really cool because it's purely mechanical. Just the act of chewing and swallowing, that's it. It stimulates something called the vagus nerve. You can think of this nerve as a direct superhighway from your mouth and gut right to your brain's relaxation center. When you stimulate it, it sends a signal that says, hey, time to chill out. It slows your heart rate, tells your body to relax, and yep, that can absolutely bring on a yawn. And last but not least, let's talk about blood flow. When you eat, your body is smart. It sends a bunch of blood down to your stomach and intestines to get the job of digestion started. This causes a very slight, totally normal dip in your blood pressure elsewhere in your body. And that tiny little dip, you guessed it, it's another classic trigger for a yawn. Okay, so we've established that a yawn after you eat is usually a good thing, a sign of relaxation. But, and this is important, we also need to know when it might be a little warning sign that something else is off balance. So let's break this down. The key word to focus on here is excessive. If the yawning is constant and it comes packaged with other symptoms, that's when you want to pay a little more attention. For example, if you're yawning and also feeling dizzy, that could point to a blood sugar drop after an initial spike. If you feel shaky, maybe it's an excess insulin response. And what about that sudden I need a nap right now feeling? That could be a sign of low cortisol reserves. Now, obviously, these are not diagnoses, but they are really important clues your body is giving you. So if this is sounding a little too familiar and your post-meal yawning feels like a lot, what can you actually do about it? Well, the good news is you're not powerless here. There are some really simple, practical things you can do that can make a huge difference. All right, here are 4 simple tips to try. First, build a balanced plate. Make sure you've got protein, healthy fats, and good carbs together. That helps keep your blood sugar stable. Second, try to avoid those super heavy meals or meals that are just a mountain of carbs, because that's what leads to the big spike and crash. Third, and this is an easy one, just slow down. Eating mindfully really helps your digestion. And finally, number 4, after you eat, just take a gentle 5 or 10-minute walk. It gets your blood flowing and really helps smooth out that whole transition we've been talking about. But I really want to land on this point because it's so important. Please remember, for the vast majority of us, that yawn after breakfast is a good thing. It's a positive sign. It means your nervous system is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's shifting out of stress mode and into relaxation. It is a sign of health, not a sign that something's getting worse. So let's do a super quick recap of this whole yawn cascade. You eat. That simple act lowers your stress hormones, like cortisol. It flips on your rest and digest system. It causes a little shift in your blood sugar and dopamine, and it activates that all-important vagus nerve. It's like this amazing chain reaction of events that all come together to create the perfect conditions for a big, satisfying yawn. So look, if you only remember one thing from all this, I hope it's this. Your yawn is not a sign that you're bored or tired. It's a sign of transition. It's a physical announcement from your body that it's moving from a state of high alert into a state of safety, rest, and recovery. It's actually kind of beautiful when you think about it. And that's such a powerful reminder, isn't it? Our bodies are communicating with us all the time. That yawn is just one very obvious signal. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. What else is your body trying to tell you?